Yes, the Redskins put in work in Seattle. That's over now. It's on to NFC North leaders, the Minnesota Vikings, and they really don't care about what happened in Seattle. Here's Sports Talk.
Live from NewsChannel 8, this is Toyota Sports Talk.
It can, but we also don't want to rely on that game because it's we only halfway in the season.
I look at it as, man, I'm back at home. I'm coming out here and giving these guys something to cheer for. You know, they paid all the hard-earned money to sit in that seat. I'm gonna give them a show.
Let's give them a show then, Josh. Hello and welcome to Toyota Sports Talk. I'm Robert Burton. It was the most impressive win this season. Banged up Redskins team, upsetting the Seattle Seahawks on the road at one of the toughest places to play. Which begs the question, is this it? Is this the game that jump-starts the Redskins season? And when the car starts, can it keep running? Also, Ezekiel Elliott, that drama. Suspension is back on, but are we tired of this already? Tell me this. What was more exhausting, Deflategate, Kirk Cousins contract talks, or the Zeke case? Call us, 703-387-1020. Look who's here to help us sort all this out. Chris Sheehan, you can hear Chris on WTOP, as well as producer for SiriusXM Fantasy. Love it when you're here. So knowledgeable and so damn good looking. Glad you're here. Okay, so you'll take
Just trying to compete with you, man.
Stop it.
You got the style, you got the tie, the lavender tie. Maybe that's a little darker purple, but...
Stop it. You're embarrassing me, Chris.
I wanted to show a little chest tonight, personally.
That's it.
Although this button here, I don't know. I never know about this button. Do you button it? Do you let it go?
I would let it go. Let your sexy go,
I was in the gym this past week, so maybe.
All right, so the second question of the night. We'll start with that one. What are you more tired of? And we talked a little bit about this in the sports office. Is it the Zeke case? Is it Kirk Cousins contract talks, or Deflategate that people are still upset about? What's your take on this?
Well, I would say that it would be the Ezekiel Elliott case. We talked about the fact that as a fantasy owner, it's a little bit maddening, but it just feels like the NFL is trying always to stay in the news cycle. Always. I mean, Ezekiel Elliott, this has been an ongoing saga since the offseason. You know, I just don't really know what the NFL is trying to do here. They maybe want to get the suspension done before the playoffs as the Cowboys are looking to advance once again. But really, you know, if Ezekiel Elliott was in fact guilty of the crimes that he is listed in and got in trouble for, you know, let's get this over and done with, get his suspension on there, and move on from it. The Kirk Cousins contract situation, you and I, you know, we watched that Kirk Cousins press conference after the win against Seattle.
Right. Yeah.
And didn't he sound like kind of a changed man this time from some of the conversations in the offseason where he was, I don't want to say distancing himself from Washington, but kind of just being vague, whereas he said some things like, we are an organization that when we go and play teams, we want to be feared. We have good people in this organization. He had a lot of glowing things to say about the Washington Redskins.
Yeah.
Now, you could have just been feeling good off one of the biggest wins for this franchise in the past year or so, but I think Kirk is starting to sound like he is warming up to the idea of staying here long term. Now the front office is a different story. Will they say we want Kirk Cousins to be our franchise quarterback? Look at the shoddy play of some of the quarterbacks around the league, Robert. Oof. I would say that if you are Redskins front office, sign Kirk Cousins long term. Get it done. You're not going to do much better on the free agency, and are you going to try to build through the draft again? I mean, no, let's not go down that road.
And if Chris says do it, well, doggone it, you better do it. Okay, so when you talk about as far as what will go down as history as the biggest story, I think clearly it would be Tom Brady and Deflategate. No question.
Absolutely. And you could make the argument, Robert, that Tom Brady after Deflategate played like a man possessed. He was making sure that I am going to come out of this. This will not define my legacy. I am the greatest quarterback of all time. I know that the fine young gentleman when I walked in here will always dispute that and say it's a different game now and quarterbacks can't get hit. Yeah, but I think that you are now basically seeing a Tom Brady that is matured, who is so focused on his game. I mean, he's eating, what is it, vegan ice cream that is like made out of
what the heck is that?
Yeah, celery or something like that. He's wrestling with sumo wrestlers to get prepared for the offseason. Wow. I think that the Deflategate, some people, you hit rock bottom. This was probably proverbial Tom Brady's rock bottom in the NFL. He's only come out of it stronger.
Wow. They go the distance to prepare for the season. Let's go to the phone lines. Dave, starting us off tonight. Dave, what's up?
Hey, how's you guys doing tonight?
Dave, good to hear your voice. What's going on?
Good. I wanted to really hit on both of your questions.
Go ahead, Dave.
I think Sunday's win might have saved their season, and they do need to re-sign Cousins.
All right, Dave, thank you so much for calling. Now, to our first question of the night, was Seattle the game that sort of jump starts the season? Do they turn things around? You don't think so?
I think
or it could be.
Yeah.
It could be.
Certainly. It was a humongous win for this team, obviously, from a confidence standpoint. You went across the country. I know Seattle's banged up in the secondary, but they are still the Seattle Seahawks. That is still an incredibly difficult place to play. And when it looked like you were going to lose the game, Kirk Cousins orchestrated a drive. Josh Doxson caught a football right by the goal line, and they won the game, and that was huge. Now, there are things working against the Redskins. A couple of division losses, 2 to the Philadelphia Eagles. And the fact of the matter is that you're playing a Minnesota Vikings team that is a tough football team. They get to the quarterback. They have ability in the secondary. They have Jerick McKinnon. When they lost Dalvin Cook, it was not looking good for their run game. This is a team that really wants to run the football. When you have Case Keenum, not exactly earth-shattering when it comes to playing the position. Jerick McKinnon has been very good, over 100 yards averaging from the line of scrimmage. And Adam Thielen, there's a stat here, first Minnesota player to have 5 or more receptions in 8 straight games since Chris Carter in 1996. You and I were young men in our infancy watching football when that happened. So
1986.
1996.
1996. Okay.
I was going to say 1986. You might not have been born by that point.
Well, now, I wasn't born in 1986. Okay, so you consider what the Redskins have coming up with Minnesota, and let's not forget the Saints, who are also leading their division. This win against Seattle, would you say it was a fluke win?
I don't think it was a fluke win because in the NFL, it's a lot about matchups, a lot about guys' mindsets when you're coming onto the field. The Redskins, they had a lot of negativity coming into this. I mean, you and I were talking about how, I don't know that they have a chance going across country, Richard Sherman. And they probably used that as momentum, saying to themselves, no one's giving us a chance. Let's go out on that football field. Let's leave it all out there. And Kirk Cousins said, I know I'm going to take my hits. He got hit a lot in that game, but he hung in there and he delivered the football. And I think that Seattle is a team. They're not the same team that they were when they went to the Super Bowl.
No.
They can be had, especially in the slot. And if the Redskins can play on all facets of their game, all humming, they can win football games. Like, this is not a bad football team here. They've been devastated by injuries a lot this year, and we're seeing that once again as this week they have some injuries. Zach Brown sitting out practice today with an ankle injury. That certainly could be really not bode well for playing a Minnesota team that can run the football and wants to run the football. But when the Redskins are playing on all cylinders, they can be a good football team.
All right, 703-387-1020. Call us. Let us know what you think. What are you tired of? Or what are you sick of? Is it the Deflategate? Is it the Zeke case? Or is it Kirk Cousins' contract talks? Coming up after the break, we'll also talk a little fantasy with the very talented Chris Sheehan, WTOP. We'll be right back.
He's a confident young player. You know, he's just waiting for opportunity to break out, and he's doing a lot of good things, and we just are very excited to have him. He works hard, he's quiet, and I mean, he's starting receiver in the NFL. I think he's pretty high. I think from a statistical standpoint, people are waiting for him to have the 10 catch for 200-yard performance with 3 touchdowns, and I think those days are coming.
Hopefully so. Jay Gruden on his receiver, Josh Doxson, who made a heck of a catch against Seattle. Probably the season-saving catch, the 38-yard catch that got him to the goal line for the go-ahead touchdown. Now, again, we're expecting Josh Doxson to be this super quarterback or super wide receiver. Do you think he could do that at least 5 more times this season make that big play or no? I mean, or is it coming?
I think he can certainly have some big playability the rest of the year. My worry is this week he's going to be going up against a cornerback by the name of Xavier Rhodes, who is a very solid corner for the Minnesota Vikings. I mean, it really all depends on the matchups, and it depends on game flow for Josh Doctson. If you think the Redskins are going to be ahead in a lot of games, maybe they don't throw to him as much, and also really Jordan Reed's availability. If Jordan Reed is on the field, to me, he's going to take away a lot of the passes that Josh Doctson might be seeing. But we are seeing Josh Doctson, as we mentioned, emerge as the big play wide receiver here in Washington. I think that we missed that when Deshaun Jackson left and Terrell Pryor was supposed to be that guy. He had the big catch against Kansas City, against Marcus Peters, nonetheless, which was a really impressive play on Monday Night Football. But other than that, he has not been a big play receiver here. I think Josh Doctson's somebody that Kirk Cousins is trusting. You know, wide receivers don't immediately come in to a system and build rapport with their quarterback. And you look at Buffalo right now with Kelvin Benjamin. They traded for him. They didn't even play him last week against Thursday. Why? Because they're just not on the same page with your quarterback. So I think with time, Doctson will emerge here probably as the number 1 wide receiver, because I don't think Terrell Pryor's coming back. I mean, unless he just makes a miraculous sort of stride here towards the end of the season. I think Doxson's going to be the number 1 wide receiver here, and Kirk Cousins, he can throw the football deep. We saw that against Seattle once again, and I think Crowder is going to be more your slot guy. Jordan Reed, you're more of the middle guy. I think Doxson can do it all.
All right, let's go to the phone lines. Mike is in Bethesda. What's up, Mike?
Robert, good evening to you. You got Chris Sitchin on with you tonight.
Yes. Sheehan.
He is a great analyst, I'll tell you that right now.
It's pronounced Sheehan, Mike, but
everybody gets it wrong. Don't worry about it.
We still love you, Mike.
Okay, thank you. Robert, you are the proud of the south side of Chicago. Does that mean you meaner than old King Kong, like that song goes?
Better than Leroy Brown?
Yes.
No. I'm not that mean, and I'm not that cool. But, Mike, thank you for thinking of me.
And what you said about the Redskin victory being a fluke, I agree with you. You know, that was a great point you made, Chris. I believe that Seattle beat themselves. I've said that before. I really expect Minnesota's great defense to prevail this weekend. I think the Redskins have a lot in store for them, unless they do some, trick plays or some, odd things. I don't give them a chance. I think they'll fall out of the playoff hunt this weekend. Chris, what do you think about that?
Well, there's 2 things that concern me, and thanks for the call, Mike, and your kind words. Kirk Cousins been sacked 14 times the past 3 weeks. This after he was only sacked 8 times in his first 5 games. Offensive line getting a little bit healthier, so that certainly helps, but I think that Minnesota has a really strong pass rush. As far as their pass defense, only Jacksonville allows less yardage per attempt than Minnesota. So I think the Redskins will put up with. I'd love to see Jordan Reed on the field. I know the injuries, and he practiced a little bit, and he's kind of been limited, but I think he really is somebody that Kirk Cousins, when he sees him, he knows Jordan Reed is in the middle of the field catching balls. Not a lot of guys. I mean, I was a wide receiver in high school. I didn't like going over the middle and catching passes. Jordan Reed doesn't see them. Nah, I was too skinny to do that. Jordan Reed, big dude, he can do that. So if he plays, I certainly think it helps, but Minnesota is a tough defense, and their offense is a lot better than people expect, and they don't even have Teddy Bridgewater playing yet. So, this matchup scares me.
All right, Mike, thank you so much for calling. You look like a receiver to me.
I was a wide receiver. They wanted to make me a tight end because we were a triple option offense. They said, put on weight, right? So I ate at McDonald's, Taco Bell, you name it.
Oh, God.
My metabolism went too fast, and I also like to hang out with my friends more than I liked getting in the gym. So unfortunately, I was not in the NFL. I'm hanging out with you. This is where I'd rather be.
Of course. Who would want to make millions of dollars playing a sport that they love? All right, coming up more with Chris Sheehan. I do like Sitchin. That has a nice ring to it.
I've heard it all, my man.
All right, we'll be right back. 703-387-1020.
We got grit. We got grit to go along with that heart. Even our quarterback, Kirk Cousins, has a lot of grit. He does. He has a lot of fight in him. So when you have a leader like that looking at that, and along with our defense, man, you can go far.
For us, it shows. We never give up. I mean, until it's 0-0 on the clock, the guys continue to fight no matter what.
I don't like to get too outcome focused, and I feel on the outside, I feel that happening after this game, and that's okay on the outside. My concern is in the locker room and in our organization, making sure that we don't allow that to creep in.
All right, got to have grit. You want to play in that league. Back with Chris Cheon, WTOP. Call us 703-387-1020. Let's go straight to the phone lines. Jacob is on the line from Burke. Jacob, what's up?
Hi, I was just calling about the Patriots. You know, they've been winning the Super Bowls like it's nobody's business.
That is very true. That is very true.
I know, it's incredible.
You must be a Patriots fan, Jacob. Are you really from
incredible.
VA?
Must be nice.
I mean, I do love the Patriots. They're great. They're a great place. Great team.
Yeah, they are a very good team. But you sound really pro-Patriots right now. Are you really from the New England area?
Well, I moved from New England, and I had to,
Oh, okay. Well, you know what, Jacob? If my team won as much as the Patriots, I would call a TV show and say, hey, the Bulls are great. The Bulls are an amazing team. They just keep winning, don't they? But unfortunately, that's not the situation that I'm in because my Chicago Bulls are now the bottom dwellers of the NBA. Moving on. So you talk about the Redskins and the situation that they're in, the fluke game, and then they have Minnesota. But let's not forget about the Saints. You play Minnesota, you turn around, and then you have the Saints. So what do they look for in that matchup? Not to look too far ahead.
Sure.
But what are we thinking there?
Well, here's what the Saints are doing this year. They used to be Drew Brees, we need you to chuck the ball 40, 50 times a game because we don't really have a great running game. And it wasn't never bad. Mark Ingram has been a very good running back in this league for a number of years now.
Yeah.
But they really needed Brees to do a lot. And their defense was so atrocious that you were going to have to basically be in a shootout the entire game. Now, New Orleans, their run defense isn't that good. They allow the 4th most yards per carry in the NFL, so they can be had there. I mean, are you excited once again about the Redskins' running game? I'm not with Rob Kelly. I know he's getting in the end zone, but he's just not really putting up the volume in terms of yardage. Chris Thompson, somebody, not only do I like him in this game against Minnesota, the rest of the season, he is such an X factor to this offense. New Orleans is a tough team. Yeah. They will have their problems, the Redskins, with them, but I do not think that they are an unbeatable team. If you are able to, again, slow the game down, don't let this New Orleans offense onto the field much, because if Michael Thomas is on there, I mean, he's been an incredible receiver. He hasn't found in the end zone much this year, but still just a threat on there. And Alvin Kamara could win. We'll see. He should win Rookie of the Year now. I don't know if they'll award it to Deshaun Watson, unfortunately, with that injury. But Kamara has been the best rookie so far, in my opinion, offensively in terms of the skill position.
So moving back to Minnesota, anyone on the Redskins that you would start in fantasy this week from the Redskins?
Well, I mentioned Chris Thompson.
Right.
Minnesota not good at stopping running backs who catch the football. If you're getting rushed, if you're Kirk Cousins, you're feeling that heat.
Chris Thompson would have
you can go and chuck it up deep if you want, but I would rather go look at my reads real quick. I feel the pressure, hit Chris Thompson in the flats. That will at least allow you to kind of build yardage and stay on the field offensively, what you're looking to do. And I still like Vernon Davis, too. I mean, tight end position exactly hasn't been great from a fantasy standpoint this year. Vernon Davis is somebody that Kirk Cousins likes to go to, so he's somebody that I would fire up as well. I would try to look for other options, though, this week other than Kirk Cousins. I know that we're talking about him and gloating about him and saying that he should get a contract extension, but it's a week-to-week game. I think there are some crafty veterans that could be on your waiver wire that I would probably start over Kirk Cousins this week.
Okay, any surprises from the Redskins? That someone that you could say, this guy could possibly surprise a lot of people as far as fantasy goes?
If Rob Kelly gets the ball near the goal line, maybe he's somebody that can produce. I mean, he's getting into the end zone. It's just between the 20s, he's not going to game break. But I think that if the Redskins get inside the 5-yard line and they're having a nice day and they're humming, maybe Rob Kelly can get you a couple of not garbage touchdowns, but at least touchdowns near the goal line, and those are 6 points on your fantasy roster, which can certainly help. If you're in a PPR league, I don't really love him, but I would say Rob Kelly is definitely Chris Thompson, dark horse Rob Kelly if you're in a 14-team or 16-team league.
All right, folks, you heard it. Chris said, start Rob Kelly. No, I'm kidding. He didn't say that. All right, call us 703-387-1020. Final thoughts when we come back from Chris Gian. All right, welcome back to Sports Talk. Final thoughts with Chris Gian. So, some quarterback talk here for fantasy.
Fire up Fitz Magic. I'm talking about the Harvard graduate Ryan Fitzpatrick. If you're in a league that you have Carson Wentz or Derek Carr as your starting quarterback, they're on a bye this week. I really like the Jets have given up a ton of touchdowns through the year, the most in the NFL. Fitzpatrick, I don't like to play the revenge narrative thing, but he is taking on his old team there. This is the potential to be a shootout. I also like Josh McCown on the other side of the ball there, too, if you want to grab a deep quarterback. And Eli Manning hasn't been great this year, but taking on the 49ers, who have been just certainly not very good. Looking forward to that #1 pick in probably the draft.
All right, Chris Gian, WTOP, hey, thanks for coming in. Always love it when you're here. So knowledgeable. And again, so darn handsome, as Mike said. All right, we'll see you guys next time on Toyota Sports Talk.